ambiguous, adjective, having or expressing more than one possible meaning, sometimes intentionally. His reply to my question was somewhat ambiguous. The wording of the agreement is ambiguous. The government has been ambiguous on this issue. Synonyms: ambivalent, equivocal. More examples. The contract is praised in a rather ambiguous way. His attitude to environmental issues was sometimes quite ambiguous. Legal experts claim that the law on this matter is ambiguous and that the way the company interpreted it was reasonable. What do you think the title really means? It's rather ambiguous, isn't it? If you do not use the correct grammar, the meaning can be a bit ambiguous and lead to confusion. Ambiguously. Having or expressing more than one possible meaning, sometimes intentionally. The movie's ending is ambiguous, having more than one possible meaning and therefore likely to cause confusion. Many companies are appealing against the ruling because the wording is ambiguous. Examples of ambiguous: there will be ambiguous situations in which learning should not be permitted. Overlapping receptive fields with different spatial frequency sensitivities may be essential for normalizing ambiguous ganglion cell responses across luminance change. Innovations in agriculture tend to promote deforestation, although in the case of land augmenting technical change, this result is ambiguous. Many tasks involve sensory information that is ambiguous, and other source of information may be required for adequate perception. Of course, ultimately, the evidence of the actual physical enforcement of the oath is ambiguous. Hence, we decided to categorize all instances of extra vowels at the end of a noun as ambiguous. Second, although complex, there is nothing really metrically ambiguous about this section. Nevertheless, the criteria used to define specificity are somewhat ambiguous because there is no clear crossover between specific and non-specific binding. The feedback from the reviewers lead to formulation of ambiguous items and removal of overlapping and value-laden items. Their status in these texts is therefore ambiguous, with both morphological and phonological factors restricting their use. Can we deduce from it that inherently ambiguous stimuli always get resolved one way or the other? That his written statements about the bridge produce an image at once complex and ambiguous, more antipathy than advocacy, has often seemed irrelevant. The evidence suggests, therefore, that one has no subject number feature at all, rather than that it is ambiguous between singular and plural. We included secondary structure in the alignment, identifying stamens, loops, and bulges, and manually excluded regions of ambiguous alignment from the final data set. Second language may differ in terms of why reflexives, not just reflexives, may exhibit this ambiguous or dual status.